Okay. So yeah, yesterday we started with yesterday we stopped at 13 principles of GCP. We learned about 13 principles of GCP, and what all it includes. It all depends on Declaration of Helsinki, Belmont Report, Nuremberg Code. So whatever guidelines we learned, by far taking into consideration starting from Nazis unethical trial till the time we developed the GCP guidelines. Okay. So it has 13 principles, very important 13 principles. That is what we talked about yesterday. Then the next thing I wanted to talk about is ethical guidelines for biomedical research on human subject 2000. So they developed these ethical guidelines as they went ahead with jotting down all the important points when it comes to trial of human subjects. So we have ICMR in 1920. अभी ICMR का नाम तुम लोगों ने सुना ही रहेगा. During this pandemic also we came across ICMR name very because whatever is told to us by ICMR we are trying to believe that, right? So what is the full form of ICMR? Anybody knows it? Since we have learned about it, if you guys know it, you can type it. So it's nothing but Indian Council of Medical Research. Okay. It's Indian Council of Medical Research. Okay. So ICMR in 1980 released a policy statement on ethical considerations involved in research on human subjects. So currently also when ICMR is trying to build up a vaccine for COVID-19, they're giving us a set of guidelines in order to protect ourselves, or they're also giving us some set of guidelines in order to make sure that we are using right medication and what all care should be taken. So Indian Council of Medical Research ultimately gives the guidelines for each and every disease that is causing trouble in India, I would say, if in simple terms I want to tell you. So ICMR in 1980 released a policy statement on ethical consideration involved in research on human subjects. So they are involved in clinical trials. They are mainly they are involved in clinical trial which are related to human subjects or any other biomedical instrument या फिर research as well. So this was the first statement giving official guidelines for establishment of ethics committee in all medical colleges and research centers. So that was the most important thing they did first of all. So ethics committee, as I told you, you would be thinking why medical colleges and research center. Obviously medical colleges have all the patients, so there could be unique cases on daily basis that would be coming to a medical college or medical hospital. So most of the time, medical colleges are attached to the hospitals as well. So in that case also, whatever treatment you are going to give, if there is any unique situation, if there is any unique, what you say, unique disease या फिर unique condition of a patient, in that time, at that time also a doctor cannot decide everything on his own, his or her own. He has to take permission from this ethics committee before going ahead and doing that unique trial for the patient. So and also in research centers, so for research centers, yes Tanuja, you want to ask something? Since you can unmute yourself and ask me. Since you raised the hand, is there anything? Okay. So, Tanuja, you're there? Okay. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself and talk. Okay. Yeah. So in 1970s and 1980s, the researchers at the Institute of Cytology and Oncology in Delhi carried out a study on 1,115 women, patients of different stages of precancerous lesions of the cervix. Okay, so this was basically cervical cancer, you can say. So they did some kind of a research in 1970s and 1980s on this women. Let me put this in the slide. So these patients were left untreated to see how many lesions progressed to cancer and how many regressed. After the controversy, the study became public in 1997 and the ICMR started developing ethical guidelines for biomedical research on human subjects and finished them in year 2000. So it was such a huge job for them to do that. So they took around 3 years to complete those guidelines. And these are the set of guidelines which every researcher in India should follow while conducting the research on human subjects. So this is just an example. This is just an overview. It's like this. These are some statements they are trying to tell you over here that ICMR also started developing their guidelines in terms after this particular controversy, where more than 1,000 women were involved in order to test for lesions which occur in cervical cancer. Okay, and they were left untreated just because they wanted to check how bad the lesion could become, at what stage it can become more deadly compared to the earlier lesion. So after that, they started developing the guidelines, and accordingly, everything went fine. So yeah, this is the end of this particular presentation. What I will do is I will share another slide with you guys, which will be telling about just a minute. Okay, 1 second. Yes. So this is also another slide which I have, which gives an overview of everything that we are trying to learn in this ethical issue chapter. Okay. Can you guys see it? I can't see the chat option while I'm sharing the screen with you people. Can anybody unmute and just let me know whether you can see it or not? Oh. Yes, but now you can put yourself on mute. Okay, somebody's mic, Suraj's mic is on. Okay, I will mute him. Yeah, I had put you guys on mute. I'm so sorry. I forgot that you cannot unmute on your own. Suraj, can you mute your mic? Your mic is still on. It will cause disturbance while we are talking. Okay. Yeah. I was talking about this PDF, whether you can see this PDF or not. You can see it now. You have to tell me yes or no. Okay, great. So this is just a history, like timeline flow. You can say that they're talking about when did the Tuskegee syphilis study started, and when was the Nazi experiment. So this is a flow of history, like what started first and what we went on developing. So as you can see, the most important highlights over here is 1947 Nuremberg Code, 1964 Declaration of Helsinki, which was completely dependent on, and also 1962 Kafauver-Harris Amendment for Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act, and in 1964 Declaration of Helsinki. So one thing I want to revise you guys again. I want to remind you guys again over here is that after this thalidomide tragedy, FDA decided that it is mandatory for a company to produce the documentation of the effectiveness of the drug before marketing the drug. Because after thalidomide tragedy, it became then that is when we started producing all kind of documents which are required uh, uh, for the what you say, mm, required for letting know the people that this drug is effective, in effectiveness of the drug before we can market it. Okay. And currently also, if you see, the current guideline also involves that you do the phase 1 trial, you do the animal, sorry, you start with the drug discovery, you do the preclinical trials, and then you check for the toxicity, then you go for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and end में phase 4. अगर ये तीनों भी phase तुम pass करते हो, then only you can go ahead and do the marketing of the drug. So that was the most important thing that was highlighted in the Kafauver-Harris Amendment for Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. And in 1964, we had Declaration of Helsinki. In 1974, you have National Research Act. In 1972, the Tuskegee study was exposed. So imagine this Tuskegee study, syphilis study was started in 1940 and it ended in 1972. And in 1979, we developed the Belmont Report after taking into consideration of this Tuskegee trial, that unethical Tuskegee trial that happened. Okay. So if you want to revise, it is the simple thing that they have mentioned over here. The Nuremberg Code is the most important document in the history of ethics of medical research. And the code was formulated 15 years ago in August 1947 and in Nuremberg, Germany, by American judges sitting in judgment of Nazi doctors accused of conducting murderous and torturous human experiment in concentration camps. Okay? And these are the 10 points, basic 10 principles developed after the Nuremberg trial. So we are not going to go over it because we have already learned about them in the last lectures. And the purpose, it serves as a blueprint for today's principle. What is the purpose behind developing the Nuremberg Code? That is what they are talking about. So it served as a blueprint for today's principles that ensures the rights of the subject in medical research. So what I have been telling you people is that whatever we have as a guideline right now is taken into, are been developed with the help of Nuremberg Code, this Kafauver-Harris amendments, and also with the help of Belmont Report. So these three, Declaration of Helsinki, these four things are very important in the development of ICH GCP guideline that we refer to right now. So because of its link with the horrors of the World War II and the use of prisoners in Nazis concentration camp for medical experimentation, debate continues today about the authority of the code, its applicability to the modern medical research, and even its authorship. So this is the purpose why we need why they went ahead and developed the Nuremberg Code, the guideline. So the Nuremberg Code has no legal force behind it, and it would be erroneous even to credit it as the framework on which all future codes have been based. Next is Declaration of Helsinki. So the Declaration of Helsinki is indisputably A remarkable document. It is the mission of the medical doctor to safeguard the health of the people. So the British Medical Journal announced the emergence of DOH, that is Declaration of Helsinki, in its 18 July 1964 edition with the following words. So a draft code of ethics on human experiment was published in British Medical Journal of 27 October 1962, and as a result of this principle have been embodied in the subsequent UK and international guidance and regulation, which all, so Declaration of Helsinki depend adhere to these four things which are mentioned over here, which are safeguarding of research subject, informed consent form, minimizing the risk, and adhering to an approved research plan or protocol. So this is the most important thing, adhering to an approved research plan or protocol. So once you write your research plan and once you produce that protocol in front of the ethical committee, you have to make sure that you adhere to the protocol that those ethics committee have been approved for you. So if you mention that I will be taking 60 subjects for my clinical trial, then you have to take only 60 subjects. If you go ahead and take 59, that is not allowed. If you go ahead and take 61, that is not allowed. Even if you do that due to some or other reason, you have to make sure that you bring it to the notice of ethics committee. They have to go, means like you will be putting it as an amendment to your protocol. What do you mean by amendment? Amendment is nothing but the change in the protocol. See, due to some reason, अगर तुमने 60 participants बोले हैं, but due to some or other reason, you are not able to gather so many subjects for your clinical trial, then the protocol will be adhered. Sorry, the protocol will be differed from whatever you have produced before ethics committee, for which you have got the approval actually. So in that case, you have to go ahead and amend your protocol. And when you, what do you mean by amendment of the protocol? That means you will be doing a change in your protocol, which has to be again approved by the ethics committee. Okay, so these are the four important points that Declaration of Helsinki mentions, and then this declaration has to be given by the research officer, या फिर principal investigator, and the clinical trial company or the clinical trial company, whomsoever it is. Okay. So a revised version was accepted as the final draft at the meeting of the World Medical Association in Helsinki. Hence, it is called as Declaration of Helsinki in June 1964, and it is known as the Declaration of Helsinki, attached to just over 700 words of the text of the original DOH. Okay? So as they went ahead with years and years, like if they find any changes to be done, they World Medical Association sit together and takes a decision and make a document which is updated from the last version. So in its 40-year lifetime, the declaration has been revised 5 times and has risen to a position of prominence as a guiding statement of ethical principle for doctors involved in the medical research. So this is what is the Declaration of the Helsinki is all about. So adopted by 18th WMA General Assembly, Helsinki, Finland, June 1964. So Helsinki kahan pe hai? It's a place, okay? Helsinki is nothing but a place which is there in Finland. So this happened in June in 1964 and amended by 29th WMA General Assembly, Tokyo, Japan, October 1975. And then 35th. So these are the timelines that they have mentioned whenever the declaration of Helsinki was amended. Amended means what? Either updated or changed. Amendment, ये word तुमको पता रहेगा since अभी तुम लोगों ने ये what you say इंडियन फार्माकोपिया यूएसपीए ये बारे के ये फार्माकोपियास के बारे में पढ़ा है तुम लोगों ने. So I'm hoping you guys know what you mean by amendment. And all are these are the amendments years, and whenever the World Medical Association meeting was held at different places. That is what is mentioned over here. Okay. So WMA General Assembly Washington 2002 was the last version, I guess, for the Declaration of Helsinki to be amended. Then, thus both the Nuremberg Code and the Declaration of Helsinki served as model for the current US federal research regulation, which require not only the informed consent of the research subject. Informed consent is nothing but that you have to tell to the subject that this is what is the study about, whether you want to participate or not. If the subject wants to participate, the subject will go ahead and sign the informed consent form. Okay. So with proxy consent sometimes acceptable as for young children. This is what proxy consent क्या रहता है ये मैंने तुम लोगों को कल बताया है. When the subject is in the terminal condition, in the sense he is at the last stage of the disease when you want to perform. So this is mostly applicable for various kind of cancer studies maybe, and when the participant is a child less than 18-year-old. But also prior peer review of research protocol by a committee, the Institutional Review Board, that is nothing but IRB of the hospital or research institution, that includes a representative of the community. Okay, na? So informed consent should be taken by subjects and also by the IRB of that particular institution या फिर hospital या फिर medical college. So institutional review board is nobody but you can say same as that of institutional ethics committee, which will go ahead and review your study and will let you know whether you should go ahead with this particular study or not. So you have to make sure that you know these two names, that institutional review board, that is IRB, and IEC, that is institutional ethics committee. Okay. So institution, that means a hospital or medical college, can either have a IRB or can have a IEC. Most of the time IRB and IEC का role same ही रहता है. ठीक है. So the Nuremberg Code focuses on the human rights of the research subjects. The Declaration of Helsinki focuses on the obligations of physician investigators to research subjects, and the federal regulations emphasizes the obligation of research institutions that receive the federal funds. So this is what the Nuremberg focuses on. See, whenever a clinical trial is happening, now you are trying to visualize a process through my tellings, that it involves everything. It involves subjects, it involves researcher, it involves the doctor, it involves the institution altogether. So when it comes to doing the clinical trial, everybody is what you say, everybody is responsible for whatever outcome is there going to be of that clinical trial. So even if it fails, it's everybody's responsibility. Even if there are some amendments, even if there are some changes, even if there are some positive results in regards with that, अगर कुछ गलत भी होता है तो ये सारी institution के साथ doctors, participants सबकी responsibility रहती है. So hence that is the reason why you want to involve so many people and so many bodies in this particular clinical research, so that everything is monitored at every given stage. Okay. Then National Research Act published हुआ in 1974. So due to publicity from syphilis study, the National Research Act was of 1974 was passed. So syphilis study क्या है ये मैंने तुम लोगों को कल बोला है क्या हुआ था उस study में. So the National Research Act created the National Commission for the Protection of Human Subject of Biomedical and Behavioral Research. And the commission charge was to identify the basic ethical principle that should underline the conduct of biomedical and behavioral research involving human participants, and to develop the guidelines which should be followed to assure that such research is conducted in accordance with those principles only. Okay. So I think Yeah. National Commission for the Protection of Human Subject of Biomedical and Behavioral Research, which mostly comes under this National Research Act 1974. So carrying out his charge, and the commission prepared the Belmont Report in 1979. So that is what I told you yesterday as well. After the Tuskegee trial, which was conducted on African American, which started in 1940 and ended in 1979, Belmont Report was produced, and the Belmont Report is the statement of basic ethical principle and guideline that provide an analytical framework to guide the resolution of ethical problems arising from the research with human subject. So this is what is related to National Research Act 1974, which ended up developing a Belmont Report. Okay, so I would like to take a pause over here, and I would like to you guys can unmute for a while, means for your at least one or two people. Musrat can unmute herself and talk to me. So what I'm telling is Musrat ya fir Darshana, somebody unmute yourself. Let me unmute. Hello. I'm not able to unmute you people. Yes, somebody has unmuted. Darshana, you are there?
Yes, ma'am.
So I just wanted to say that throughout the lecture, could you hear me properly?
Yes, ma'am. But some noise are coming from your
Okay.
side, like
असा पंखा
air.
चालतो तसा आवाज येतोय का?
Ha 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 ha.
Okay, that is what I was. So I will maybe it's my fan at home that is making.
Okay.
So tomorrow I will make sure that I'm not keeping my fan on. And then also, did you receive all the
Yes, ma'am.
material on the Google Classroom yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, could you see a quizzes in been scheduled for 12:45?
Uh, no, ma'am.
ते
Only
हाँ ते पण check करा.
material discuss.
हाँ, because I have scheduled the quiz now. Maybe you will get a notification that time only, which I have
Hmm.
posted and scheduled. ठीक है ना? So keep an eye on your Google Classroom. At around 12:30, you can check it out. Okay, it will start at 12:45, so it will show you
Yes, ma'am.
accordingly only. Okay, and you are
Okay, ma'am.
understanding by far whatever we are teaching, means whatever I am teaching you people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If there are any doubts, please, I'm talking to only Darshana, because if I talk to everyone, it will be very noisy. So if at all there are any doubts, if at all there are any sections that you do not understand, please make sure you talk to me. It's not very difficult to understand. We are just learning about the history of clinical trials, right?
Hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we will end the so Musrat is telling that we have got the notification already for the test. You are telling, Nusrat? So this is just a trial and error test for all of us. Yeah. Okay. So this is a trial and error test for all of us. So today I have given you 15 minutes. So next time, whenever I'm going to schedule, I or my colleagues will schedule a test for you people like this online. It will be 10 questions के लिए 10 minutes only. Okay. So today I have given 15 minutes. It's a very basic thing that we have, whatever we have learned in last 2-3 days. Okay. So make sure you attempt all the questions, and if there are any doubts, you can call me. Okay. So make sure you are in the connectivity region when you're taking the test so that you can easily. You'll get it, Kajal. Maybe you have not checked the email properly, but see if Kajal, have you joined the group? Because yesterday I could see only 21 participants joined the group. Okay. So 21 participants है मीन्स कोई तो एक रह गया है जिसने गूगल क्लासरूम ज्वाइन नहीं किया है. अगर वैसा है तो तुम्हें कोई नोटिफिकेशन नहीं मिलेंगे. But I'm sure that you guys must have got the notification for the quiz as well. Yes. So notification is there on the Gmail. Kajal, just go ahead and look because Dhanashree is also telling me that she's got the notification. You will get it. If you don't get it, let me know. Okay. So I'm signing off for now. Take your test from 12:45 to 1 p.m. Okay. And let me know if there are any questions. Okay. Bye. See you all.